Let's spend a few minutes looking into Traffic Script RuleBuilder implementing URL-based bandwidth limits. This can be useful for protecting a certain specific portion of your website, or in this example, for limiting specific content type downloads based upon the file extension in the URL path. Before we get started with the configuration, I'm going to start a load test with ZeusBench, a load testing application included with the Traffic Manager installation. From an SSH session on one of my traffic managers, I'm going to execute this ZeusBench command, requesting a PDF on the website hosted behind the Traffic Manager. Now that we've started the load test, let's take a look at the activity chart and examine the bandwidth from the application servers to the Traffic Manager cluster and from the cluster to its clients. Loaded now is a customized chart showing our target virtual server and the web server nodes in use. I'll change this chart type to a pie chart for a different visual representation of the traffic. The chart now shows that we have about 420 kilobits of traffic from each node, with just over 800 kilobits from the virtual server to clients, or in this case, our load test. Now let's navigate to the rules catalog within the Traffic Manager UI. At the bottom of the page, there's an option to create a new rule, and in this case, we'll call it bandwidth limit. And then I'll click Create Rule. Now for our example, we want to limit the URL or the end of the extension for the URL for file objects, specifically PDFs. So we'll select URL path and select ends with, and we'll type .pdf. And to show the flexibility of RuleBuilder, we'll go ahead and include a second condition or variable for .mp4 extensions, and we'll make sure we change that to ends with. Now for our actions, we want to ensure that we limit the outbound traffic, so we'll select set response bandwidth, and you can see we have a modem speed predetermined bandwidth class. Now that we've saved that rule, let's go apply it to the virtual server. Now using the home page link for the virtual server settings, I'll navigate to the rules section for the virtual server in use. We want to limit the traffic sent to clients, so for this example, we need to apply our newly created rule to the virtual server as a response rule. Once I click Add Rule for our bandwidth limit rule, the rule is now applied and enabled as a response rule on the virtual server. Now let's navigate back to our activity graph. As we can see in the status applet already, traffic is peaking around 56 kilobits per second as expected. I'll now change this over to a line graph for a different view of the traffic. And for this example, in a better view of the bandwidth difference, I'll go ahead and change this over to a linear graph. And this provides a better visual representation of how a simple RuleBuilder rule is able to be applied to a virtual server and provide application bandwidth limitations.